Don't Breathe was directed by Fede Alvarez and stars Stephen Lang, Jane Levy, and Dylan Minnette. And it's about a group of friends who decides to rob this old blind man who supposedly has a lot of money in his house. And they think it's going to be pretty easy since he's blind, but little do they know that this guy's playing hardball. This guy is not going to give up his money easily. And now what we have is a very simplistic suspense horror film. Now this movie came out of nowhere, completely left field for me. I didn't even know this movie was coming out until recently. I saw the trailer, but I pretty much went in blind. I didn't know much what was going to happen, and I was very surprised by this movie. What a great year for horror films, and that's coming from someone who doesn't really like horror films. We got The Conjuring 2, Lights Out, and now Don't Breathe. Even though this movie isn't really as much of a horror film as it is just a suspense thrill ride. I found myself throughout the entire movie of me on the edge of my seat, squeezing my fists together, wide and blinking eyes, because the suspense in this movie is top notch. The directing was fantastic. The acting was fantastic. Jane Levy gives a great performance as well as Dylan Minnette, who was in Goosebumps, but I feel like in this movie he has more time to shine with his dramatic acting. And Stephen Lang was fantastic in this movie. He gave such a frightening performance. Plus, he didn't even have that much dialogue, so that makes it even more impressive. I also loved how original and fresh this movie felt. We've never seen anything like this before. Now, obviously, we've seen home invasion films, but this one had a nice twist to it, where normally in home invasion films, we see that the victims are the ones actually living in the house, and the criminals trying to break in is the antagonist, the predator. But this one is reversed. It flips everything on its head. Everything you know about home invasion films is completely backwards, where the victim is actually the predator, and the people breaking in is in their perspectives, and they're the actual victims of the movie. Now, even though this was a great film, I can't really see myself watching this a second time, because the main thing this movie has going for it is the suspense of not knowing what's going to happen. Now that I know what's going to happen, I feel like it's not going to hold as much the second viewing. I could possibly see myself watching this in a couple years, maybe if I forget some stuff, but for the most part, this movie doesn't have a really good rewatchability factor to it. And while I felt the pacing was really good, I feel like it started to drag a little bit towards the end. And I feel like it started to do that was because you feel like it's going to go one way, but then it doesn't, and then it goes another way, and then it turns another way. There's like so many twists and turns, which is normally a positive. I don't know, I want to get into some spoiler talk, so if you don't want to know, which I recommend not knowing, because like I said, the biggest strength of this movie is not knowing what's going to happen, so skip to this time. But what I mean is, a lot of the characters felt like they were from Home Alone, like they had 9 lives. Like there was one part of the movie where Dylan Minnette's character, he dies, he gets stabbed, you know he's dead. And then you find out it's going this other direction, like you know there's not going to be a happy ending, and then it turns out that, nope, he's not dead, he's actually alive. Now that's a really nice twist. You see that Stephen Lang's character stabbed someone else, so that was nice, but like I said, it changed everything, and it almost felt like it was dragging. And then you feel like they're going to escape, and then they don't, and then like she does, but then she's getting dragged back. Like, I don't know, so many times it seemed like they were going to get away, but then they didn't, but then they got away, but then they didn't. It almost felt repetitive in that way. Like I said, I respect all the twists and turns, but at times it did feel like it was dragging. Especially the end, there was a part where it cut to black, and then you're like, okay, the movie is officially over, and then it continues. But that's pretty much my only true negative about the movie, besides the fact that I'm probably never going to watch this movie again. So, overall, in the theater, actually watching it, I had a great time with Don't Breathe. So I'm going to give Don't Breathe a 7.5 out of 10. So are you planning on seeing Don't Breathe, or have you already seen it? If so, what did you think about it? Also, what is your favorite home invasion film? For me, I can't really think of any home invasion films on the top of my head right now, so I guess Don't Breathe. Anyway, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and as always, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.